Typically, if we didn't have the pandemic, um, we would have been having some meet and greets throughout Hidalgo County in the weeks going up to election on Saturdays. That's an opportunity for myself to meet with you, get to know you, and for you to get to know me. But the way things are, and want to make sure people stay safe and they stay healthy. So we thought about an alternative, which is doing this, inviting you into my home, which is where I am right now, and in the comfort of your home, we can have a conversation. And if you want to ask anything, want to know anything about me personally, about my career, my education, my qualifications, then you'd have an opportunity to do so. So I'm here. I'm available. I believe in transparency in government, and in having given you the opportunity to know who's representing you, who's part of your government. So that's why I'm here. I wanted to give everybody that opportunity. And if you're thinking, why is he wearing a sweatshirt in the Valley in August? That's because my kids are Eskimos and this house is freezing. And I thought, you know what, if we're going to be I'm going to be here sitting, having a casual conversation with some coffee with folks online, I should probably be comfortable. So don't hold it against me. I wear a suit all week long. I wear a tie and suit. I wear a sweatshirt. So, hello, Brandon Hernandez. Hope you're doing well. And if you have any questions, please make sure you type it in there, and I'll definitely get to them. And anybody else who's has any queries. Marianne, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. I appreciate that. One of the most humbling things in running a campaign is seeing how people come out and just hear a little bit about you, and then come out and support you. It's very humbling to know that people are willing to take that extra step, make an effort to help with a campaign, to spread a message. And you guys, by just being here, that's enough, because the more you get to know about me, the more you're able to talk about me, talk about the good things to other people. And then when November comes around, or October 13 will be the first day of early voting, then we can hopefully be elected and serve a full term. As you know, I've been on the bench since last year. I was appointed on August 28th, so my 1-year anniversary is coming up very soon. And I actually took the bench and started working on September 12th of last year. So it's been quite a ride. I've loved it. David, good to hear from you. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Thank you so much for your congratulatory note. We miss you down here in the Valley. So hope you're well. All my best to you and your family, and good job on the work you're doing on the state bar. We need people like yourself to be representing us. So thank you so much for stopping by. As I was saying, it's going to be a year already that I've been on the bench, and it's been quite a ride. It's been a while since the Hidalgo County's had a new court, and when new courts are created, all the other David's wearing a Longhorn shirt. I'm wearing my Notre Dame sweatshirt. I think we're pretty even on football games right now. So I look forward to in recent history, at least, where Notre Dame really beat them, and then they beat us. So it's hopefully we'll have another game, and David, maybe you and I can go and watch that game. AJ Gonzalez, Milo, good morning. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. Um, as I was telling you, as I was saying, it's the 464th District Court was a new court that was created by the legislature a couple years ago, and it started last year. And we've had judges from the other district courts just to lighten their load. That's why the court was created, because we just have so many cases. They started giving me cases, bringing them to the 464th District Court. And the interesting thing is that that I've been getting a lot of cases involving child abuse, sexual assaults. Those, I think, some of the worst cases that can be presented to a jury. So that's why I'm very busy in the 464th District Court, because these cases require a lot of work, and a lot of them require that a jury hear the case. It's not it's not a type of case that you can just plea and maybe have probation. And these are serious accusations, serious crimes that are alleged to have been committed. So before this pandemic, we started having trials very frequently. You can ask the prosecutors assigned to my court that they're working hard, and I appreciate that. So it's been quite a ride. It's starting with the assignment of these type of cases, and being able to make sure that people got their day in court, and that the state had the opportunity to present these cases against people. And then, of course, we had the pandemic. We went 100% digital on March 19, so that people that needed to appear before me could just do so from the comfort of their home. They didn't have to go down to the courthouse, risk their health. And technology is such a great thing, because it allows us to continue to stay connected, and it allows us to keep doing our work, which is what I should be doing, is making sure that your court continues, and that any case, and not just the criminal cases, but also family cases. Life doesn't stop because of a pandemic. Things happen. Families need to resolve differences. Families need to talk about what are they going to do with their children. Am I exposing my child too much by sending them to my ex-husband's or wife's home? So those are things that we need to consider, and they're brought up to the court a couple of times, and it's a matter of walking through them. But that's a good thing about being able to do everything online, because then I can hear the cases, and cases are moving forward. I can assure you. We have court almost every day. There's maybe one day where I take the opportunity to read, because there's a lot of reading involved. Know that if you file a motion, you're asking for something, it's going to be read. And I don't go on a hearing and just try to wing it. I'm actually reading everything that's being filed in the case. So I like to take a day, usually it's Thursday or Friday, in which I start reading, and then I do my own orders. I type them out so people understand why I came to a decision, and that's part of my pledge for transparency. So as much as I can do that, I will do that. So especially in the civil cases and lawsuits, that's where I'm doing it. I used to help out in when I worked in federal court. It was part of my duty, was to help the judge with his rulings, and so I'm familiar with the process, and I'm now doing it myself. So thanks again for those that are watching. Thanks for being here. If you have any questions for me, please feel free, type them in your comments, so that I can answer your questions and address them. I wanted to give everybody this opportunity to get to know me a little bit better, and and if you have any questions about how the court's going to work, how it's working right now, this is also your opportunity. Once we start voting, October 13th is the first day of early vote, and it goes through October 30th before the actual election day, which is November 3rd. I don't want people saying, well, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what Judge Fonseca stands for, because I'm giving everyone an opportunity to thank you, David. Will do. So I want to make sure people have an opportunity to get to know me. I'm doing everything I can to get out there. And so there's no excuses. There's no saying, well, I don't know who the guy is. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he stands for, because I'm making myself available. I'm going to try and do this every Saturday, just so you know. So you can come in into Facebook Live and ask. And I'm doing this both on my personal page, and I'm doing it on the official campaign page, so that everybody has that opportunity. And they're both public, so you can access both of the pages, regardless of whether you follow one or the other. So, so what else? Just, I guess we can just go a little bit over my background. For those who don't know, I'm perfect, David. That's what I was gonna start going to. As you can see, I went to Notre Dame for undergrad and law school. It was one of the best experiences I've had. I was blessed to have been able to go to school like that. My parents weren't able to finish college, and they did everything they could to make sure that we could, and my sisters and I could. And we grew up in. I was born in Westlaco, but grew up for the most part, in East Edinburgh. I went to the Teacher Academy back then. I didn't go to Edinburgh schools for junior high and high school. What do they call it today? World Scholars Academy, I guess, is what it's called now. It just changed its name again. It was Beta, the Business Education Technology Academy. But before then, it was the Teacher Academy, and that's where I went for junior high and high school. But so yeah, I grew up in East Edinburgh, and as I was saying, my parents sacrificed and did so much so that I could go to a school like Notre Dame. It was an amazing experience, just getting out of. Yes, born in Westlaco. So there you go, David. So yeah, Notre Dame was amazing. It's a Catholic school, so there's a lot of values instilled in everyday activities. How old am I? I am 39 years old. I know I get a lot of that. How old are you? Did you just graduate from law school? In fact, even just last year, before I took the bench and had a client come into my office, and he was just looking at me, and I was explaining how things were going to work, what the law said, and what to expect. And I remember him asking, "How long have you been out of law school? Are you even qualified to be telling me what I should be doing?" And then I told him, I've been practicing for 10 years in Hidalgo County. So, okay, Tony, how are you doing? My challenger and I are behind the bench. What's the biggest difference? Well, I'm in a district court. And just to finish up answering Veronica Garza's question, I've been on the bench since last year. I was appointed on August 28th, and I started working on September 12th. So it's going to be almost a year that I've been on the district court. Now, the district court takes care of felony criminal cases, all types of civil lawsuits, and family cases. The district courts are one of the busiest, and I guess if you look at the tiers of all the courts in the county, it's kind of at the top of all the courts, because we handle the big lawsuits and the felony cases. Those are the aggravated sexual assault, murder, all those type of cases. Now, the other guy who wants to, he's running against me. I don't know if he's still on the bench or not, but he was doing speeding tickets and code compliance, those type of deals. So I think that should tell you a little bit about the difference in experience that we have. Very different, because when you're in a district court, you need to know family law, you need to know criminal law, you need to know civil law, constitutional law, all those. It's quite a bit. It's quite an array of cases that are before the court. Now, I've dealt with all of them, and obviously in the last year, that's what I've been doing. And I think if you talk to the lawyers in our community, they'll tell you that I have the experience, and I've actually been taking care of all these cases, because before taking the bench, I've dealt with all these cases. So even before I went to law school, I was working in the legal field. So before going to law school, I worked in Washington, D.C. with the Justice Department and prosecuting cases, helping with the I wasn't the prosecutor. I was assisting prosecutors, and I was a paralegal specialist. And those were criminal cases. Those were all over the country. And it was concentrated and focused on civil rights. And a lot of those have to deal with, they bring in, it's civil rights criminal violations at the federal level can involve all sorts of things. It could be, allegations of an agent sexually assaulting someone, allegations of an correctional officer assaulting, allegations of murder as well. Then, some of the cases that I really specialized on was the human trafficking cases. Those were some of the cases that I took on when I was this is even before law school. So it was a couple of years before going to law school. So ever since then, I've been expanding and trying to do as much as I can in my career to be able to say, you know what, I can do this job. And that's why when I applied and I sent my name to the governor's office, I went ahead and put everything down. And I was comfortable enough to know that, you know what, I'm gonna be able to take on the job because I know my stuff, and I can do a good job on the bench. I wouldn't be doing this otherwise. So that was a very long answer to your question, Tony. I'm starting to become very long-winded and just talk. So let me get to some other questions. Veronica Garza, have there been any cases within your experience in Americans Disability Act where someone has been discriminated based on their disability? I can think back, not now in this past year, but when I was working in federal court, we had some of those cases, and involving some. I think it was just, in a school even, on whether or not they were following the demands of the Americans Disability Act. So, and it's a good thing that we have those specifications in the Disability Act, because it's I don't want to say it's easy to see, but when you're in those type of cases, you can definitely. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. But the Americans Disability Act really sets out the standards and parameters that people, that communities, everybody, because it's not just me as a business owner or a school needs to follow it to govern. I'm glad you got the answer out of that. There's a bit of a lag in the chats, so I apologize if it takes me a while. Pamela Castillo, thank you for stopping by, one of my cheerleaders. What do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice? Uh, Corruption, nepotism, favoritism. Um, you know, if some of you may have seen my interview with Bonnie Hernandez yesterday, and I touched on this a little bit. Um, we and I mean, obviously, there are great obstacles to justice everywhere. Um, Justice, or our system of democracy of our government, isn't just a given. We have to work at it every day. Um, I'm just thinking of an analogy, and it's kind of like in a marriage. You have to be working at it all the time. It's not something that, all right, that's it. It's done. It's all going to be perfect from now on. No, it's not like that. Justice, democracy is the same thing. You have to be working at it all the time. And so the people that are in charge, people are elected officials, or appointed officials, everybody that's part of that system needs to constantly be working at it. And that's why we take an oath when we start our jobs in government service, to uphold and defend the laws and the Constitution of the United States, and in my case in particular, in the state of Texas. And we need to remind ourselves of that oath all the time. So in chambers in the courthouse, right next to the door for me to go into the courtroom, I have a prayer that's right next to it to remind me of what it is that I'm doing on a daily basis. And as soon as I walk out of my chambers to go into the courtroom, on the right-hand side, I have the commission, which is giving me the authority to be a district court judge. So I'm looking at those two, and that's for me. And they're placed there. I put them there strategically because that's a reminder to me of what it is that I'm doing. Because if we don't keep that in mind, then what is this all for? Why am I sitting on the bench if it's not because I want to make our government better? I want to make our system of life better. I want to make sure that ultimately justice prevails. So I think when people forget that, that's the biggest obstacle to justice. That people start thinking of just themselves. And we've unfortunately had that in Hidalgo County. It has happened a couple of times at a very egregious level, when we had our top law enforcement officer, the sheriff, convicted because he was working with cartels and drug dealers. And then just last year, a district court judge was convicted for taking bribes. So that's at the very most criminal level, right? That's the worst. That's the absolute worst. But that was a motivation for me to get into this. It's not easy running a race. It's being on the bench is hard work, but it's worth it because I know and I recognize that there are these obstacles, and we've been going through this in Hidalgo County a little too often, and the county right next to ours in Cameron County, they've had their issues too a couple years ago. So, government is not perfect because it's made up of imperfect people. But I think we can strive to make it better. We can definitely work at it if we have the right people, and these people really truly understand the importance or the gravity of what it is to make a decision without having people's interest in mind, the community's interest in mind. So thanks for the question. I hadn't been asked that before, and justice, we use that word a lot on the bench and in the legal field, but it's something we need to keep working on. So thanks, Pam, for asking the question. I don't know if anybody else has any more questions. Thank you, Ms. Garza. I appreciate that. So sometimes you go live and you're wondering whether people are listening or are hearing what you're saying, because I'm just talking to a computer right now, and unless somebody puts something on there, I don't know if what's being perceived on the other side of the internet of Facebook. So, but so that's my spiel on the obstacles of justice. But so rest assured that knowing what this job requires, that I'm working on it. I'm working on it, trying to make myself a better person every day too. So that's part of it. You can't just sit back and once you have the fancy title of judge, then I've got it made. No, this is the title that comes with a position is something. It's just a reminder that you got to keep working at it. And it's something that I also said yesterday. After my interview with Bonnie and talking about the title and the sense of entitlement that some elected officials have because of the title that they have. After that, I went to go get my car's oil changed, and the gentleman that was helping me said, "Mr. Fonseca, your car is ready." And then he stepped back, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Judge Fonseca." And then I looked at him and I was like, "That's fine. You don't have to apologize for that." And then he told me something that I was just so taken aback, that a judge had been there and that the judge told him, "No, you need to call me Judge. I'm Judge so-and-so." And I was really taken aback. Why would you be scolding someone because they're not calling you by your title? I mean, I think the only way I'd be offended is if you call me Miss or Mrs. But if you don't call me Judge, that's all right. We're the same members of the community, and I mean, I appreciate people's respect for the position, but I just wanted to bring that tidbit of what happened to me yesterday after I'd been talking to Bonnie about the sense of entitlement that sometimes some of our elected officials have. So it's just keep it humble, people, because we're not judges because by the grace of God we weren't put down into a bench because God brought us down from heaven and put us there. We're judges because people put us in these positions. Ms. Garza, another question. What is your position on mental illness? What do you think is needed to help stop the stigma? It's a great segue into my invitation to everybody about joining us on the Open Forum series next Thursday at 6 p.m. here on Facebook and on YouTube, because we're going to be talking about mental health, mental illness. And when I took over the bench last year, and there was a gentleman that was suffering from some issues. Excuse me, and he needed to go to a hospital to get treatment because he was unable to understand what was happening in the courtroom. And obviously, I can't be asking him questions or asking him to plead guilty or not guilty, or to help his attorney with defending the case. He needs to have be competent, mentally competent, to move forward with this case. So there was the option of going to a mental health institution to get treatment and get better, so that you can come back to court and then after that be able to sustain your defense. So I did that in a case, and this gentleman, I signed the order to send this gentleman to the mental health institution, and then I was surprised and taken aback that it didn't happen right then and there. It's not like when you issue a warrant for someone's arrest, and then they're arrested, and then they're taken to jail. No, this gentleman had to wait for about 3 to 4 months to be able to get a bed, to go see professionals to treat his illness, and be able to come back and get better. So that showed me there is so much we need to do to address this. And unfortunately, I don't know if the court really has an answer other than identifying when you need to help people and address their mental health. The legislature is going to have to do something about it. And you'd be surprised to know that actually Texas is one of the best states in dealing with defendants that have mental illness. So I was just wondering, if it takes 3 to 4 months in Texas for someone to get a bed in a hospital to get treatment, how bad is it in the other states across our nation? It's really absurd that this is what happens. But it goes back more than that. I mean, this is at the end, when people are very sick and they've already committed a crime, or it's been alleged that they committed a crime, but we haven't addressed mental health all the way back to when they should have been diagnosed or treated properly, from when they were children, teenagers, young adults. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about on Thursday, making sure that people get the care that they need first at the very onset of mental illness, so that they don't end up self-medicating, and then that goes into drugs. Drugs leads to crime. Crime leads to arrests, jail, so on and so forth. It just spirals out of control. So we need to tackle the issue, not now once you're before me, but when you were first diagnosed, or when you were first having those symptoms of mental illness. So like you said, Ms. Garza, there's a stigma about mental illness, and we need to get over it. That may be a generational thing. I don't know. It's not something that was talked much about before, but I think the more that we talk about it and the more that we bring this issue to light, I think the more that people will be comfortable recognizing that if you have a mental health issue, that it's okay to seek help. It's okay to receive treatment, so that you can be better, can get better, and manage the situation. So hope that answered your question, Ms. Garza. I don't have another question. I have Kim Farias Tamás. Judge, what is your view on bail reform and the role the bail bondsmen play in the criminal justice system? I don't think I've had any issues with the bail bondsmen. I think in Hidalgo County they've really handled themselves very well, very professionally. So I don't know if there really are any reforms that are needed, because I haven't had any complaints, or whenever there's been a question as to when there's been bond reductions and they need to, and someone's already paid for a bond. I think we've been able to work it out with the bail bondsmen on how they're going to continue on the bond. And I think the key to that is just having an open and honest conversation. Whenever there's an issue, I like to bring in the attorney for the state, the attorney for the defendant, and the bondsman, the representative. And if they have a lawyer, even better. And if they come into the courtroom, and we'll talk about, well, what is it that needs to be done in this case? I have as much of an open door policy as I can have, especially now during the pandemic. But I tell lawyers, if there's something comes up, that's what I'm here for. I need to make sure that I'm available for anybody. So, but to answer, going back to your question, I don't know if we need any reform right now. The way I've seen it work in my court, with the bail bondsmen that have been before me, they've all been very courteous, professional, and I haven't gotten any complaints. They seem to be doing well. So, unless there's something in particular that you think people have been talking about that needs to change, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm fine. I think things have been going well with the bondsman. Ms. Garza, going back to you, have you had many cases in the area of full guardianship where a person with disability has approached the age of 18 and officially considered an adult? In private practice, I did handle guardianships, but I have not in my court, because that goes to the probate court. Our probate judge is Joanne Garcia. She's the one that handles those cases. So I don't handle those. It only if they had to file a lawsuit, maybe they could file it in my court. The guardian may, I guess they could technically file it in my court. But the actual guardianship needs to be filed in probate court. But I took care of some guardianships before taking the bench in my private practice. In fact, that's one of the things that prompted me to go into litigation guardianships when I was in law school, and I was part of the clinic, the legal aid clinic at the law school. And one of my first assignments was helping out with the guardianship of. He was in high school, so there was going to be a transition into when he was going to turn 18. Well, how are we going to manage the guardianship from this point on? So that's what piqued my interest in going into litigation. And not that I didn't want to do it beforehand when I did the human trafficking cases and civil rights cases at the Justice Department, but I very much enjoyed probate law and the guardianships and the estates. So I had some experience at the legal aid clinic in law school, and then in private practice, I did take on some of those cases. I think about 3 or 4, not many. It's not something that my firm specialized in, but I was always willing to help out in those type of cases. So, but anyways. Thank you so much for your questions. I can stay on for a little bit longer if there are any more questions. If anybody else has any comments, I'll be here for a while longer. We've been on for about 38 minutes. It's a very good conversation. I appreciate you all for coming and being a part of the very first coffee with Judge. I've been talking too much. I haven't had my coffee this morning. I made my own coffee today. If you saw Bonnie's interview yesterday, you would have seen the mug that my wife gave me for my afternoon coffee. Thank you, Ms. Garza. These are tough times, but we'll get through them as a community. What I'm trying to do is bringing issues to light, being transparent, being here, because we're all going to have to work together to get through this. It's affecting everybody in all aspects of life. Families are separated. Your typical support group, which may be family, may not be next to you. I know I haven't been with my sisters and my parents and my parents-in-law since March. So, I mean, I'm blessed with with my wife and kids, and we've been making the best out of the situation. But some people don't have that. Some people depend on and need to have family members, have friends to support them, because they don't have that support at home. And I know it's tough, it's difficult, but we'll get through this as a community. I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that. The Valley's grown so much because in the last couple of decades, because we all have that work ethic, which allows us to move forward. So I strongly believe that, and I'll do my part by doing my job, and I'll keep doing my job during the week, and anytime I can come on and talk with anyone, and in this campaign, I'll do it. So it just takes an hour here or there, and I have a very supportive wife. My kids don't know anything about this. They don't understand. They're too little. One of them's going to be 1, the other one's going to be 3. But thanks to the support of my wife, I can take an hour here or there to do this and talk with you about anything that you wish to talk about. So I guess I can start wrapping it up, unless there are any other questions. Anybody has anything else they want to say? Blessings to you too, Ms. Garza. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I don't underestimate blessings and power of prayer, because I'm a firm believer in the spiritual support that we all need in getting through what we're living now, and me in particular with the campaign and the job and the family. And you need that strength that doesn't come from you. It comes from a higher power. So thank you. I really do appreciate the blessings and prayers from everybody. So and so just to start wrapping up, remember our mental health open forum series on Thursday at 6 p.m. will be live on YouTube and on Facebook, here on Facebook, both on personal page and on the official campaign page. So I look forward to having you tune in, and we have 2 experts that will be there to talk about mental health and drug abuse, and then the effects that it all has in our criminal justice system. So it should be fun. And then after that, we'll have a conversation with a couple of lawyers in our community about what the Supreme Court's been doing this past year. So that should be an interesting discussion. In the meantime, please continue to thank you for your support, first of all, and I ask you to continue to share my videos, my posts, and if you want any signs, whether they're yard signs, 4x4, 4x8s, please let me know, and we'll get those to you. And again, I appreciate the support. And the only way that we can win is with you spreading the word, and with you telling people why they should vote for me. So I'm counting on you. I'm doing as much as I can by getting out there and meeting people, and then giving people the opportunity to know what I stand for. But that's only part of the equation. I can't do it all without your help. So thank you to those who have been helping. I urge everybody else to do the same, because I love my job, and I believe I'm the best one to continue doing this job on the 464th District Court. And I hope I can continue to do this job for many more years to come. Again, thank you all for being here. Unless anybody else has a last minute question or comment, I'm gonna turn it off and See you next time. We'll be here on next Saturday for sure. I really enjoyed this conversation this morning. Have a good day, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless. Goodbye.